The doctrine of citizenship as it exists in Nigeria is one that is founded on the assumption that your membership of one ethnic nationality or the other, and to a lesser but not nonetheless important extent, your membership of a religious order, determines the content of your citizenship. That is what we have evolved. We do not have a template that is blind to ethnicity or religiosity in determining the rights of the citizen. To be a citizen, all these should not matter. But I get ahead of myself. There is a relationship between the rule of law and the sanctity of citizenship. When you speak about the rule of law, what you're saying essentially is that in this space, your office does not matter. Your father's name or yours matters not. What counts is the law. The supremacy of the law. That is what counts. When you're speaking about the rule of law, you're saying in essence that all that matters, all that counts is that at all points in time, the law is supreme in the land. The state is beholden to the law. The citizens are beholden to the law. And the law rules without fear or favor. That is what it means. Now, if that is the case, it then means that citizens exist, the inhabitants, both citizens and aliens within the space, equally bound by the laws which are clearly written and known to all or ought to be known to all. Bounds all. It then means that each and every one of the persons in that place are subject to the rule of law and are equal before the law. You can have citizenship in that kind of space. But in a space where citizenship is dependent, only dependent on the discretion of the person whose duty it is to uphold the law or to interpret it, where the law is what a man says it is and not what the law says it is, at that point, you really cannot speak to citizenship. Where, in what universe is it okay for the convoy of the army chief to kill 430 persons that you believe to be citizens? Citizens. Those are persons that a state is beholden to protect. Those are persons that the soldiers would have been under a duty, sworn duty to protect. But they were killed by soldiers who were guarding one man occupying the office of the chief of army staff. One man. But it was okay. The murders could be justified because these were Shia Muslims. They were not Sunni Muslims. You see, they were Shia Muslims. So it was okay to kill them. And they were killed. The Kaduna State Commission of Inquiry gave the figures. Those are in my own figures. And we haven't come around to talking about the massacre at Lekki Toll Gate. In what country would citizens be killed in broad daylight because it was just 6:37 or thereabout when the shooting started at Lekki? LCC, a company wholly owned by Lagos State government, switched off his camera, removed his camera, switched off the lights. And you say those were citizens. Do you even know the meaning of the word? Citizens. Those are law-protected persons for whose life the state have an obligation to give account. They were murdered gruesomely, and instrumentalities of the state went into full gear to deny their murder. And you call them citizens. And you call yourselves citizens. Some of you became the ones justifying and excusing their massacre. You justified it. Months later, almost 2 years or thereabout later, someone who came out and they buried these persons at profit again. No conscience. And you call them citizens, right? Citizens. They thought themselves citizens. You call them citizens. You believe yourself to be a citizen too, right? Yeah, indeed. Olopa turns to you with full impunity and he says, I will shoot you. Or sometime, I will kill you and nothing will happen. He's merely told you the truth. Much as you might not like what he's just said, what's the point in hating the player? He just told you the truth. He could kill you and nothing will happen. And many people have been killed and nothing happened. So, big deal. He hasn't lied. He just told the truth. I am a citizen. And the chief law enforcement agent in the country, the policeman, your first introduction to the powers of the state, has announced to you the reign of impunity that he administers. He will kill you and none will happen. Walai. And he just told you the truth. That is the country in which we are forming citizens. You better believe it. The president declares what the law is and the court flows from there. So the body odor of the president and the body language of the president becomes the important denominator in determining the power relationship between the state and the people. End of story. That is all that happens. And if you believe, you know what? There is a suit before the Supreme Court, the local government one. I'm laughing my head silly these days because I'm thinking to myself, how the Nigerian state never seems to end with its many paradoxes and ironies, you know? The same Bola Ahmed Tinubu who dragged Obasanjo to court and built his entire rep as the father of federalism, challenging the Obasanjo behemoth, who created LCDAs in Lagos State, is the same one who has gone now to the Supreme Court to ask that the Supreme Court should declare the local government autonomous of the state. So all of a sudden, local governments in Nigeria are federating units in the country. Can you beat that? And you don't think that that has anything to do with the power relationship in the state. Let me break it down for you. If those ones in the Supreme Court should find the idiocy to concede, as they usually do, what you then find is that INEC is the one conducting elections, the same thing that Tinubu has been doing with the electoral body in Lagos State, is what INEC will now start doing. Same thing they did on February 25th and all of that time. That is exactly what they will now start doing everywhere. Do you get me? That's exactly what will now start happening. So you're centralizing election in a corrupt electoral system. You're sidelining the powers of the federating units, which are meant to be the state, but which are in truth not these states, because this state, in reality, had nothing whatsoever to do with Nigeria. There were only four when Nigeria began its journey to restructuring under various military powers. You get me? So you are dealing with a situation where the rule of men have overtaken the rule of law. And the Nigerian is left with the delusions of his citizenship. The reality of derogation of citizenship and the fact that apartheid is far better should begin to dawn on the Nigerian. See, here is the thing. In the days of apartheid, the black South African, even with the derogation of his rights, was still protected by the law. He couldn't be killed without question if he was going about his lawful duties by the apartheid police. But the Nigerian, regardless of what he might be going about, could be easily killed because he's not subject to any law. He is the subject of impunity. This is the reality of the Nigerian. He calls himself a citizen. There is no white man in sight, but he lives in a reality that is worse than that of the black South African during the apartheid years. That is the reality of the Nigerian.